the binky? More like the GOAT. Because if you're looking for a warm neutral IEM under $500, this is arguably one of the best that you can get. But why is it such an interesting and compelling thing for this specific IEM to exist in the market today? What about the collaboration with Gizaudio, and what about its tuning that makes it such an interesting set in today's landscape of very varied sounding IEMs? Well, let's talk about that and more in today's review of the Dunu X Gizaudio DaVinci. Before we start, I would just like to thank Hi-Fi Go for sending over the DaVinci in exchange for our honest thoughts. Yes, our, because this is a part of the Philippine tour, and a lot of my fellow reviewers will be reviewing the DaVinci as well, so definitely check them out. I'll probably put down a link below for some of the reviews, but rest assured, all my thoughts and opinions about the product are of my own, and I am not paid or compensated in whatsoever to say anything about the product. So, the Binky, Timmy's third collaboration to date. And if you don't know who Timmy is, he is a part of Gizaudio, a YouTube channel brand known for creating informative, short, but very entertaining reviews. And Timmy has had 3 collaborations in the past, or well, 2, including this one, which are the Galileo with Let's Shore and the Chopin with Binary Acoustics. The Dunu DaVinci is the first, I would say, mid-range IEM that Timmy has released so far, so it's the most expensive one, and it's also the first that dabbles into the warm territory, which his previous sets are known for neutrality and focus on cleanliness and upper mid focus. So why did he create this? Well, what's the reason why he thought that DaVinci was needed in the market today? Well, let's talk about the unboxing experience first. Just like the unboxing of the Falcon Ultra, the unboxing experience of the DaVinci is a very fruitful one. Housed in a nice Leonardo da Vinci inspired box, the DaVinci features the IEMs themselves, a nice modular cable, a lot of ear tips including the Dunu Candy and SNS tips, cleaning tools, a 6.35mm adapter, and a really nice and spacious case. The case is wonderful and has now become one of, if not my favorite cases by far. It is very spacious and now has an elastic strap and a net to keep your accessories in place. And need I say more about the tips? Dunu SNS has arguably been one of the best ear tips to have come out in the last few years, and also it comes with the Dunu candies, which are also wonderful, grippy, and very comfortable ear tips. It also comes with the basic olive ear tips if you're more into that. But it does not stop there, as the build and fit of the DaVinci is very impressive. Although not the most premium feeling IEM, especially coming from the Falcon Ultra, the DaVinci uses a high quality resin that looks quite thick due to the internals. Speaking about the internals, this features a 2DD plus 4BA system with a 5-way crossover. You can just barely see the internals through the dark inner shell, but you can see them. Due to the thickness, they aren't really the most snug fit in my experience, but thankfully does not have any air pressure buildup like the SA6 Mark II. This immediately makes the DaVinci a very comfortable IEM to wear, even for long listening sessions due to the lack of aggressive wings. But my goodness, can we just take our time to gawk at that shell? It looks gorgeous and reminds me of the Galileo if it was more earthy and less spacey. My only concern is that some people might have a problem with the rather thick nozzle with a diameter of 6.7mm on the thickest area. Some ear tips are a little too thin, namely the Dunu Candy, and might cause some concern for some people, but would feel right at home if you've tried other sets from Timmy that are also very thick in the nozzle. The modular cable of the DaVinci is also one of the best modular cables that I have seen in the market to date. It has one of the most impressive and most thought of modular system by far, as it is both secure and very sturdy feeling, and the cable itself is braided very tightly, very comfortable, very aesthetically pleasing, but free from memory and tangles. And let's finally talk about sound. So first and foremost, the sound signature of the DaVinci is warm neutral. I've talked about it a few minutes ago, but the DaVinci is a warm neutral IEM with a lot of thickness, tactility, and a very deep bass presentation that is honestly a very, very soothing listening experience that doesn't Okay, it doesn't intrude into the mid-range. Yes, because the mid-range still sounds so clean, nuanced, albeit on the warmer side, but it doesn't sound recessed or colored in a, I guess, unrealistic manner. And this perfectly translates into the treble region that sounds very clean, smooth, decently detailed, but very, very well extended. That doesn't sound overly pushed forward to make it sound overly airy, unrealistically so, but it just sounds right. And probably one of the best things about the DaVinci is timbre. Oh goodness gracious, the timbre of this thing is just absolutely fantastic. So as for drivability, it's decently hard to run. It's not necessarily the easiest, nor is it too hard. I would say I'd put it in between if this is the EW200 and this was the final E3000, it would fall somewhere just slightly ahead of the EW200. It doesn't sound that bad when it comes to lower powered, I guess, devices, but using higher powered or higher quality sources will definitely improve the sound, especially in making the bass sound more tactile, tight, without losing that magical warmth sense, and making the mid-range and treble just sound a little bit more open and snappy. And this is a new part of my review section, volume, because I myself have been a low listener for the longest period of time because I like to take care of my ears, but I know that some IEMs don't sound really that good in low listening volumes. I am happy to tell you that the DaVinci is arguably one of the best that I've heard in both low, mid, and high listening volumes. Low would usually constitute to, you know, the mid-range just being focused, the bass not being as emphasized, the mid-range being, you know, your usual listening volume, and then the high is usually the when you really have to push the volume high enough, and it's gonna fatigue you over time. At least that's my perspective. Yours is gonna be different, but personally, in low listening volumes, it still sounds good. There's still a lot of body in the low end. There's still a lot of thickness, but it doesn't sound dry or loose or whatever at all. And it sounds pretty wide in low listening volumes. And in higher listening volumes, it just sounds so engaging, rich, and thick, lovely to listen to. Does not sound fatiguing at all. So let's finally talk about the bass. So the bass, this is arguably the highlight of the DaVinci. It is deep, it is lush, it is thick, it is absolutely enveloping in your head when you're listening to tracks with a lot of bass, but it doesn't sound boomy, it doesn't sound muddy, it just sounds aptly warm, and it's wonderful to listen to, especially when the likes of Daniel Caesar, Remy Wolf, R&B artists, funk just sounds amazing on the DaVinci. My only littlest of gripe would be tactility, but honestly, for how warm this thing is, for how thick it sounds, I could completely forgive that because it focuses more on that very warm and lush sound, and even so, it still sounds really, really nuanced and lovely to listen to. Moving on to the mid-range, you might expect that the mids would be, you know, sacrificed a little bit, but I can assure you the mids are absolutely wonderful, especially when it comes to the lower frequencies, the lower ranges, because this thing arguably has one of the best timbre for warm sounding IEMs under $500. This is just so clean, so smooth. It's warm but nuanced. It sounds very satisfying to listen to with any kind of vocals or any kind of instrument that has, you know, that natural lushness to them that just sounds so nice on the DaVinci. And I love listening to, you know, the likes of Daniel Caesar once again. Jacob Collier is just so wonderful on this IEM, especially his Jesse of Volume 3. Gosh, that album was amazing on the set. But don't let that think that the upper mids is sacrificed. No, 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 no. It is nicely presented. It's not the emphasis. It is pushed, but not pushed too far to really contrast the lower mids. It complements the lower mids, and it just sounds so smooth, transitioning from the lower mids to the upper mids. No harshness, no oddity, no weirdness in the timbre. It just sounds right, and it still has a decent level of nuance. And finally, in the treble region, oh my goodness, it may not be the focus of the set, but I just find that this perfectly pieces the puzzle that is DaVinci and it's just so nice because it's non-fatiguing, but there's still a decent amount of nuance, especially when it comes to tracks that have a lot of detail in the treble or just more brightly mixed, like in Toto or Earth, Wind and Fire. It sounds wonderful on this track, and I actually found that this track especially excels at classic rock and classic pop from the 80s and 70s, when their mixing were a lot more brighter, less warmth in their mixing. So this set perfectly complements that. The cymbals never sound harsh, and yet it's still so well extended, expected from, you know, Timmy's tastes. He doesn't want dark sounding IEMs, but he still likes a little bit of sparkle on top despite the warmth of this IEM. It just sounds right, it just sounds correct, and I love it so much. I will say though, if you're a treble head like me, you might be lacking a little bit of excitement in this region, as I found, especially in more bassy tracks, I thought that I could have used a little bit more treble. But I also know that it really fits this kind of sound as is, so I'm not really gonna, you know, dabble too much into that. But I should let you know, if you're a treble head, yeah, you might not find this too exciting to listen to. Makes it perfect for treble sensitive people though. As for technicalities, it's okay. Yeah, it's alright for $300. I have nothing to complain about. It's definitely not the most technical sounding set for this price. Even like I know a couple of $200 IEMs that are a little bit more technical than the DaVinci, but once again, just like in the treble region, I don't think that is the focus of the set. I know that Timmy has told me that this set focuses on musicality. That's not to say that you can't have musical and really technically capable sets, but in this case, it really wants to focus on that musical, rich tone that doesn't really intrude or pushes detail into you as much, and that's completely fine. I will say that the stage and the depth of this thing is wonderful, even though the separation and layering is a little bit not as I would expect for, I guess, this price range, or at least my perception of how good separation should be in this price range. But the stage and the depth of the sounds wonderful here, thanks to the bass, thanks to the really nicely extended treble, and I would say it's perfectly fine for what it is. It's genuinely a really nice and smooth listening that doesn't need to be overly technical. Compared to the Yan Canon 2, both of these sets have a very similar sound profile, that being of warm neutral sets, but start to show their differences the more you listen to both sets. The Canon 2 has an overall more balanced, more neutral sound with a little bit more upper frequency and less low frequencies. The DaVinci sounds more fun, immersive, and engaging overall, but the Canon 2 has a more versatile tuning, as it sounds more energetic in the top end and cleaner in the low end. Both sets are cut from the same cloth, with the Canon 2 being more balanced, while the DaVinci being the warmer, smoother, and less offensive option. I should also note that the DaVinci has a better sounding timbre compared to the Canon 2. Compared to the Hibby XF Audio Project Ace, the Project Ace has a more linear, flatter, and more intimate presentation at the cost of timbre, while the DaVinci is smoother, cleaner, more impactful with much better timbre. The Project Ace has a similar technical ability to the DaVinci, but the DaVinci just sounds a little bit smoother. Actually, cut that. It sounds much smoother. Compared to the Dunu Falcon Ultra MT, the DaVinci has a thicker, warmer, and more engaging sound, while the Falcon Ultra has a more balanced, slightly U-shaped sound. The Falcon Ultra is a more well-rounded set, but the DaVinci has a considerably more fun sound with a more tactile and punchy bass. The DaVinci has a better technical ability overall, while the DaVinci has a less offensive sound to the Falcon Ultra's slightly more shouty upper mid-range frequencies. And lastly, compared to the SimGot EA2000, the EA2000 still has a superior technical ability and bass quality over the DaVinci, but the DaVinci has better tonal balance and timbre. In this case, the DaVinci is actually the more well-rounded set due to the extreme nature of the EA2000, despite sounding more technical. And to finally conclude, thank you, Timmy. Thank you for making the DaVinci, because honestly, this is arguably one of the best warm neutral IEMs that I have heard to date. It is genuinely so thick, so rich, so lush that I honestly have not heard in other sets, with very few exceptions, like I mentioned earlier with the Yan Canon 2. But I would say that the DaVinci really commits to that warmth much better compared to that one, which is trying to be a little bit more balanced while mixing musicality and technicalities. But the DaVinci, it is just such a soothing listening experience that I could listen to for hours, and trust me, I did. I spent hours and hours on this thing, especially during my sort of kind of break hiatus thing from audio. This kept me going. And it's just a wonderful IEM. It's just well packaged, really nice sounding, and it might not be the most technical or the most detailed sounding IEM that you can find for $300, but it is a very unique, very soothing, and very warm and enveloping sounding IEM that is perfect not only for relaxed listening sessions, but for those who seek warmth and body in their music. And props to Timmy for going outside of his comfort zone here. This is honestly not the usual Timmy stuff that you would expect, especially if you watch his reviews and have listened to his previous sets like I did. This is a breath of fresh air, not only for him, but for the market as a whole. Please, more warm IEMs. And Timmy, the next IEM has to be 20 dB of bass, okay? Yeah. And that's the review of the Dunu DaVinci. Thank you so much for watching my review. I had a lot of fun in this set, and I wish I could listen to it more, but it's got to go to the next person. But that's completely fine. Everyone should try this out at least once. So, thank you for watching. If you like this video, consider giving me a like. If you want to see more of my content, subscribe, check out Audio Notions, check out my socials, check out the Discord channel. Talk to me. Check out my tier list as well. I don't mention that as much anymore, but yeah, I have a tier list. Check it out. And yeah, that's about it. Obodio. Out.